Right, this is take 2 of the Asian grab bag horror film review with Meg and I. Hi. And it's take 2 because we tried to do this a little bit earlier this evening with an HD camera that the picture looked great. Absolutely fantastic. The sound...
Oh, the sound was fine. It just kept refocusing and making an annoying
and every time
sound.
it refocused, it sounded like a giant, very angry cricket.
Yeah.
Very off-putting and not a little bit creepy. Yeah. Kind of apropos, really, for Asian horror film.
Yeah. We wouldn't want to put you through that, though. It was really irritating.
No, it was really, really annoying. So we're going to go back to this for a little while. And just keep experimenting until we get it right.
So we're going to do another 3 selections.
Yeah, we'll do another 3 selections.
Our last ones are kind of bogus.
Yeah, because of the giant angry cricket.
I'm going to give a good
And I won't look in the bag.
I like getting ones from the bottom because I can't see them there.
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting one. We've got...
Which one is it?
Oh, crap. I just...
Hang on. Bag's too heavy.
Sorry, you probably experienced a little minor earthquake there. Shutter. Which is actually a birthday present of mine. For my parents.
It was.
1 year.
1 year, yeah.
I don't know why. I don't even think I asked for it, did I? I thought this was just something that found its way.
We saw a trailer for it, you and I, and when we were trying to find that last little gift to top up the birthday present.
This is what came out. I really like it, but I think more than that, this signified Taiwanese horror.
Coming of age.
Its change and its transformation into what it is now with films like Phobia and things like that. You know, now don't get me wrong, Taiwanese films are very good. Horror, Taiwanese horror, misses the mark. Or it did when we saw things like Bangkok Haunted.
Ghost of Maynak. Which
yes.
I know a lot of people love the Ghost of Maynak. I looked at it and went, meh.
Even Ghost Game, which is really interesting but kind of laughable.
This was when they grew up. This is when Taiwanese horror grew up.
This is another one that's going to be hard to explain because you don't want to give any twists away. Again, this is another twisty-turny. At the end is a huge twist. Which you don't want to give away. I'm just reading it really quickly. Do you want to attempt it while I just have a look?
The basic plot is it's all about taking pictures and ghosts showing up in the pictures. This guy's a photographer, and he's taking pictures, and images are showing up of people that shouldn't be there.
Yes, because this is the sequence of events in the film, is that this guy here, the photographer on the front cover, him and his current girlfriend are driving late one night down a country road, and they run down a mysterious pedestrian, this no one we know.
Yeah.
And shortly after, and they keep driving.
Yeah.
It's a hit and run.
Yeah.
Big hit and run. And he just goes back to his normal life, starts taking photographs as normal, and starts seeing strange things, as you said,
showing
in
up
the
in
camera.
The pictures.
And it's one of those films that, without explaining too much, as the plot evolves, you start to realise just why he's seeing things and how deep it actually is. When you first start watching it, you think it's just one silly incident. Well, silly incident, you know.
Not silly.
Hit and run is not silly. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we were drinking. We drove somebody over.
DUI as well. Great one. Yeah, I completely lost track.
Sorry, it's my fault for rambling
DUI.
on.
Carry on.
Basically, and this sounds probably really cliche, but it is like an onion. The more layers that get peeled back.
Onion boy.
Yeah, onion boy. more layers.
Everyone loves parfait.
Yeah. Stop it.
Sorry. Hey, you distracted me with DUI.
I started it with the DUI. My fault. It is like an onion. The more layers you peel back, it feels like you're not getting any closer to the center. But as each layer comes away, you realize another truth that wasn't there. And it's just an absolutely brilliant
It's well
film.
woven, I think.
It is. It's woven. It is woven together really, really well. If we give too much of the plot away, it's going to kind of signpost where it's heading.
Yes.
But just...
Sorry, I just want to make a really quick observation that the main guy looks like a Taiwanese Johnny Depp, and it really bugged me for the first, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But, and it's really scary. There are some terrifying...
There's a bit in a dark room that will just about make you wet yourself.
And anyone who's been in a dark room will know that it's scary anyway.
Pitch black and disorienting it is.
Yeah.
It's just, like I say, it's Taiwanese horror films coming of age.
Yeah. This is the kind of movie you want to, if you're interested in Taiwanese horror, start with this one.
Yeah. As
opposed to any before then.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This should be the the beginning of your Taiwanese horror education.
Right. Okay. It's now my turn to pick. There you go. Token shaking. I'm not going to go for the film I actually saw a minute ago. I peeked inadvertently.
That's why I told you not to look.
That's why I know. Don't look. In our abortive attempt earlier to do HD, this is one of the films we picked.
Yes.
Revisiting Cello.
Cello. South Korean horror.
It is.
About a cello player.
About a cello player. Wow, what a concept. It actually is a really good film. It's not fantastic. It's not on par with Tale of Two Sisters.
No, like I said, it's not.
Acacia.
It's not too intelligent.
No.
Doesn't mean it's not a good horror film,
No.
but it's not in the same league as A Tale of Two Sisters or Acacia, if you've seen any of those. But it is a good horror film.
It is good. It is.
But just
really
don't
good.
expect either of those titles because it's not going to make you go, wow,
Yeah,
how clever.
You're not gonna finish watching this and go, wow, people made this. They're a genius.
Yeah, you're not.
They're not, but they're good entertainers.
Yeah.
And it is a really good film. The plot, in a nutshell, is
without giving twists.
Without giving twists, which is going to be really difficult, is the main player, the main protagonist, is a cello player. Her best friend is also a cello player.
They get into a car accident.
Yeah, well,
yes, they do.
They do.
They get into a car accident, and this woman, the main character, survives.
Her friend does not.
And then scary things start happening. That's it.
And that's it. To break it down a little better, or not a little better, a little further, this lady also teaches music, this cello player, and
grades her students very harshly.
Yeah, not a very
She's the
nice
nightmare teacher you never want.
You never wanted, ever. You know, she's like your geography teacher in the 9th grade. Okay. And one of her students start to basically stalk her and harass her, giving her nasty text messages, you know, like, I'm going to get you, and blah, blah, blah. Just, you know, kind of silly shit that students do.
Combined with the supernatural stuff that's going on.
She also has a daughter that can't talk. You get the impression through the film that this is through some sort of psychological problem versus a medical problem.
But the mother's constantly trying to reach out to her and connect with her, even though she's not necessarily willing all the time.
Yeah.
She manages to through music.
Yeah, through music. And her daughter becomes obsessed with this cello.
Yes.
And wants to learn to play it. And that really is about as far as we can take you down that line of plot without giving a huge amount away and spoiling the film for you.
Exactly. And I want to mention as well that the little girl who played the teeny one in Hansel and Gretel is also in this film playing a little brat.
Yeah.
But again, great performance from her. She's
a great little actress. It's a great film and it's well worth a watch.
It's creepy. Genuinely creepy moments in it.
Creepy, disturbing moments in the film.
Nice little twist.
And the twist at the end is good. It really is. It's not surprising. It's not like, wow.
No, but it's a good little twist.
Yeah, it's a good little twist. And it's a satisfying movie to watch. Yeah. Definitely worth a couple of bowls of popcorn and the time it takes to watch it.
Yeah, it's one of those that, you know, in the trend of South Korean horrors that are coming out right now, because they are clever, they're visually striking, there's a lot of thought that goes into them. This isn't the cream of the crop.
No.
But if you love horror films and if you love South Korean cinema, it's one that you should just watch to enjoy. I mean, I enjoy it a lot just as a horror film.
Yeah, it is. It is just really standard good fare.
Yeah.
Cut out the eyes. She looked in the bag.
Okay.
You say trois.
Oh, yes!
Is that what I think it is? Whispering Corridors! Oh!
Sorry.
Our favorite.
It was another earthquake. Whispering Corridors.
And in the right order.
The first, of a series of high school horrors set in South Korean school. And it's the same South Korean school. It's not different locations.
No, it's always
the same place. And this was the first installment of the very successful high school horror series, because now they're making even more. I think The Voice was the last one, which we haven't seen.
I've seen those.
But we have the first three, which were the first most successful and classics.
Yeah.
And Whispering Corridors is the first one of those.
Absolutely fantastic film.
I can't remember why we saw this. Was this a Blockbuster rental?
That was a Blockbuster rental, yeah.
I have a real soft spot for this one. A real soft spot. Oh, I wish I could say the twist, because the twist is what makes it so genius. Good. Basically, I think what I want to say about it anyway is, disregarding the plot and everything that goes on to it, you can go into that.
I'll do the plot.
I like the themes it deals with, because even though it's Well, it's in a different country. It's a high school with very different rules and a very different method of teaching. It's a different time period. It's not that recent. You know, it's not that. It's a bit oldish.
Yeah, I'd probably say it's set maybe in the 60s or 70s. No, it's not either.
Isn't it like
no,
the 80s,
I was looking at the years like the 80s or 90s.
Yeah, because they have like those old khaki Walkmans that I grew up with.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
And I love the themes it deals with though because they're universal.
It also deals a lot with, in South Korea, just like a lot of other Asian countries, there's a lot of emphasis placed on how well you do in education.
Yeah.
And just like other educational systems in Asia, there are only so many slots for the top students.
Yeah, there's a lot of academic pressure.
Yeah, a lot, and a lot of competition. Yeah. And this deals with
those
themes, particularly among two characters, where they're both competing to be the best in their area, but they're being told, because of social implications, they can't remain friends.
It's so hard to explain because I was just reading the back here and it's not really describing what the plot is about at all. It says that this young teacher returns to her private girls' school that she grew up in or attended at one point, and shortly after doing so, a friend of her, well, it's not really a friend, a teacher, a fellow teacher who once taught her, commits suicide, and a series of horrific events start to snowball out of control as the film progresses. And that's it in a very basic form. But like I said earlier, it deals with so many themes. What makes it isn't necessarily, I mean, the plot's clever.
The plot is incredibly clever.
But it's the themes that it deals with.
Yeah. A lot of it...
It's so hard to explain,
It's really hard to explain without giving too much of the film away. But it's essentially young students trying to learn what their individual talents are and excel at them, being squashed by the system because they don't want that sort of individuality.
It's about the oppression.
The oppression and everything, that goes on in school. When you try to do something really outside the box and you get smacked down for it in a really savage way.
With all to a backdrop of something very supernatural going on. And that supernatural element is also a source of great tragedy.
Yeah.
Out of the three that we just picked out, this one would be my highly recommended.
Yeah, it's an eternal
film
favorite.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's brilliant. There are chilling moments.
Yeah.
But that's not the focal point. This is what South Korean horror is about.
Yeah.
It's about tragedy. It's about human relationships. Yeah. It's about friendships. It's about life.
Yeah.
And that's where the horror springs from. And I think Whispering Corridors is a perfect example of that.
Yeah. And it's, again, the key word in that is tragedy. It is tragic. It's sad at the end of the film.
And a little bit uplifting. And a little bit disturbing.
Yeah. I was just saying, at the end of the film, you feel a conflict of emotions, which is what she just said.
At the very last 2 seconds of the film, there's a sudden twist.
Yeah.
And you find yourself going,
yeah.
And that is why Whispering Corridors should be watched.
Out of all these films that we've looked at tonight, the one that is a definite must-see, you can't afford to miss, is that one, Whispering Corridors. That is the best.
Next in ranking would be Shutter, because it's really good.
Really, really is good.
But like I said, start your Taiwanese horror education with this film.
Yeah. And then that's just a good watch.
Yeah, good little horror film.
Yeah. You know?
But no Tale of Two Sisters.
No, definitely not. So right, that's us for this week. And we will be back again because we have lots and lots and lots of Asian films, and particularly a lot of Asian horror films, and we'll keep going until we run out in the bag. And
so it'll take a while.
Really full. It'll take a while, yeah. So
I hope you enjoy these.
yeah. So right, like I always say, until next time, keep watching the movies and have fun. Bye.
Bye.
Actually, all ties in.
Ties in.
Yeah.
And
ties in. Get it?
Ties in.
That was good.
That is really good. Well done.
Point for me.
Now you're just being poopy.
It's like a shadow.
Couldn't be this, could it?
No, it's not the shadow here. It's the shadow here. And we've
Enough.
seen it in other Korean films about school.
Korean.
Other Korean films. Pilgrim. Out of all these films, did we do 4? We did 4.
We did 4.
How did we do 4? No, we didn't. Sorry, this is one that shouldn't be in there. All right, this is take 2 Well, more like take 5.
Such a fake laugh.
It's the green light. It's putting me off. We keep referencing what we said because we talked about this earlier.
Yeah, sorry.
We had said a lot more about the film.
Yeah.
Probably too much because I'm suffering.
Yeah, we're trimming out all the fat now.
Yeah, I'm suffering from gobble-lot this evening.
You always suffer from gobble-lot.
Yeah, whatever. The critics.
So gobble-lot?
So gobble-lot.